Hello everybody and welcome to the Plain Mundane Show. I'm Alex Aquarius. Today I'm going to tell you what the big picture is, and I'm going to tell you really quick. I was talking to an old girlfriend of mine, and I had told her, I was asking her if she thought the earth was flat. I was asking her if she thought we went to the moon or not. I was asking her if our faith was true anymore, and I said, I don't think it is. And she said, well, I look at the fruits of our church, and I've had too many answers to prayer. And I said, I too have answers to prayer. In fact, guidance that I'm getting now. And I'm looking at the same fruits, but from a whole different knowledge perspective. Most of what I get from, I'm going to say fanatic Christians, don't be mad at me. I'm just telling you. Okay, the big picture. You know how you find out, folks, that maybe somebody knows something, a conspiracy at a certain level or a false flag event, and then once you study it for a while and you learn all different aspects of it, it goes to another level. So then when you hear someone that's newer at it than you, and they say, here's what really happened there, and then you tell them, yeah, wait till you find out this, and then you're going to see it on a whole new level, and then you're going to find out this stuff, and then that's going to take you to another level. And then somebody, have you ever heard people now and they're talking about a certain event or a false flag or something that happened or some religious or socio-political topic, and somebody will say, yeah, well, that's true on a certain level. When you get to a newer level, you're going to see it in a different way, and it takes you in a different direction. And this stuff happens all the time. But where I am now, at the level that I've gotten to since, let's say, about 1985 that I started waking up, and then after 9/11 heavily from 2006 to then heavy again, 2010, 2012, then you had, when I started finding out about UFOs and anti-gravity and the aerospace companies, you learn things about alien reproduction vehicles, and I knew somebody that cleaned up the Roswell crash and saw dead aliens laying on the ground. It went to my church. I got to start studying. I had a grandfather that was a Freemason. I got offered a ring and a book by a family member, and I started studying it. So I read Morals and Dogma. And those of you who know, who wrote it, Albert Pike, and who his mentor was, and this Belgian Jesuit missionary. And then so I started studying that, and then I went through Jesuitism, and then I went back to Jews and Judaism and Israel and Zion. And then I started looking at royal families and found out that they were Jewish, and they have the Star of David, as you call it, in the seal under the lion's paw on the crest with the unicorn and the lion. There's a Star of David underneath the paw. So then you're trying to figure out, are the royal families really Jewish? Why do they hide it? And then you find out about in Spain and Portugal and next to your Basque region, you have Ignatius Loyola, who started the Society of Jesus, and you have Adam Weishaupt, who started the Bavarian Illuminati. Both were Jesuits. Well, and Loyola started the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus, but then Weishaupt was a Jew teaching at a Jesuit university. So then you find out, and you go to the Khazars and the Ashkenazis and the Swiss, and you start to find out that all these royal families, they're really what we would call Jews or Judaism, but it's not that easy. There's different tribes, houses, blood types. You've got the Danites, you've got Judah. Just because you say somebody's from Israel doesn't mean, for one, that they're Jewish or even that they're Orthodox. Isis means Isis, Ra, and El, who's Horus, so it's Israel. It's the Egyptian trinity of Isis and Osiris and Horus and all that stuff. So even the name Israel is the Arabian pagan trinity of Moses, who is Akhenaten, who is Melchizedek. It goes back in this twisted story that has nothing to do with the Talmudic mystery school Babylon story that we get out of the Talmud, which became the Old Testament. And the first 5 books, which are the Pentateuch, written by Akhenaten, or Tutmosis II, or Moses, or Melchizedek, as you want to call it, whose high priests were known as the high priests of Melchizedek, and were also known as the priests of Amun, the priests of Amun-Ra, which today would be your priesthoods and your high priests that you find in all the religions, from even Catholics to Jesuits to your Thetans, operating Thetans in Scientology, to your Jehovah's Witnesses, your Adventists, your Lutherans, your Presbyterian. They all have priests and warriors who defend the sacred leader, and it just makes you dizzy. But when you find out one thing, let's go back 3,600 years to Nebuchadnezzar. Everybody's heard of Nebuchadnezzar. Can you spell it? It's Nebuchadnezzar. I know how to spell Nebuchadnezzar. And I say Nebuchadnezzar. So we know that the Canaanites went to Babylon, and they were under the reign of King Nebuchadnezzar, serving in slavery. And that's where they learned the mystery school. The mystery school is today known as Kabbalah, or some people will tell you on the lower level of discovery, oh, that's the dark magic, black magic side of Judaism. Oh, that's what I understood at first. Oh, okay, so there's Judaism, and then they've got their witchcraft side, which is known as Kabbalah. And the first time I heard of that, Madonna says she practiced Kabbalah. Okay. A lot of people, that's the first they heard of it. So then you find out what is Kabbalah is really. It's just the mystery school. And you know what? Here's your next step. Some of you aren't going to like this. Before you hit that you don't like it, just listen to what I'm saying and start looking this up. And then explain to me where I went wrong if I'm wrong. I'm open to it. I'm open. I'm not ramming nothing down your throat. I'm sharing because I want you to find this and help me. The biggest lie, besides Jesus died on the cross to pay for your sins, is Christianity. All of it. Even the name Jesus is a negative connotation nickname. He had other names. Was it either Emmanuel or Yeshua or Yahushua? I can't even pronounce all the different names that people say he's got. I don't know what it is, but I know he exists and I know he's up there. There was a man who lived that they based this story on, but they turned it into the story of Tammuz, who was the son of Easter, who was born of a virgin, who died for 3 days, from December 22nd to December 25th. And it all has to do with the astrotheology of the winter solstice. And he was born again as he resurrected and became the son, and he became Baal or Baal. It was Baal worship, sun worship, paganism. And it's the illuminating rays and the triad of the Trinity of your Israel. And Christianity is an invention of Israel. It is the dark Kabbalah side of Judaism. Now what they did was they created Christianity and the whole story and took their Baal worship of Tammuz, who became Baal, and they made it into Jesus. And told you, well, he died, he was born of a virgin and he died for... the paintings of Bleeding Heart Mary where she's holding the baby and she's stepping on the snake? That painting existed, and the whole concept goes back esoterically to thousands of years before Jesus even lived. So once you start doing your I've been in Spain, been through the Prado Museum and all the Thyssen Museum and seen all of these Renaissance paintings and the Louvre, Paris, and then you study and study and study. It's not what you get out of Sunday school when you go to Bible study. And, the preachers, it's not that everybody's lying. They're just doing the best job that they have with what they've been given and the deception that they've been presented. But when you find out Christianity from its inception, since before Constantine ever had the first 50 Bibles made from 2,200 scrolls that they redacted down to 66 books after bloodshed and disagreements, was made up to be the other side of Judaism that the Jews could convert into and hide their Jewry. So what they did was they went in and they became the converts, the conversos in Spain, or the marranos, the swine they were called. And then they became the Society of Jesus, and then the Illuminati and the Bavarian, the Ashkenazis, which is where the name Nazi came from. And it's all about, when you want to know where did the lost tribes of Israel go? It's Europe, baby. It's all the royal families and all the cultures of Europe. That's where they went. You might have couple of tribes that went up over the land of the north, as they say. Maybe they're under the ice. Down there with the Aryans, the Admiral Byrd saw. Who knows? That's not even that important. You just have to know that if you want to believe in Jesus Christ, and you still feel like you're a Christian, even though this evidence and all these clues are coming up, just be a cross-free Christian. He's got a tomb in India where he was buried. He's got people in China where he visited monasteries that have his Sermon on the Mount written in scrolls in China in a cliff in a monastery that was just in a book published in the 90s. You have stories of him getting crucified again, somewhere I think in what we call today modern Afghanistan. You have his travels all the way to the Himalayas, back to Tibet, where he trained before he was 30, when he learned how to walk on water. Think about it. When people call him, oh, the amazing Son of God, of course, the man was amazing. He was Christ incarnated, right? But he did teach Peter how to walk on water. Okay, Peter lost his concentration and fell in the water, but Jesus was teaching him and successfully taught him because he was walking on the water. So obviously you don't have to be the Son of God born of a virgin, and the whole Tammuz, Apollyon, Dionysus, all those names in the Zeitgeist movie that Christians get offended by. This is the story, folks. This is where I'm at now. I prayed last week for God to give me a new enlightenment where I could see the whole picture. It's like trying to carry a bunch of fruit without a basket, and you keep dropping pieces, and by the time you get a big picture, then you drop some pieces, and you come back and you can't remember. It's such a big thing to hold in your mind to picture it all. But it just came to me after I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And it's like God took a wheelbarrow full of bricks and just said, here you go, Alex. And I just got loaded on this whole concept of Christianity being Judaism from its inception. It's not like they took over and became the Jesuits. It's not like they infiltrated and changed the secret society, what were the Freemasons of the day back in Jerusalem and Rome. No, from its inception through the royals and the kings and the reign of the guardians, the Danites, the B-negative blood types, they all kept this thing in control to be able to control and spread around the world as part of their New World Order plan that's thousands of years old. They created Christianity. Now that's going to offend a lot of Christians. I know Jesus died on the cross for us. Well, how come around half of the globe there are municipal records and civil records of a man named Isa, the one who was crucified in Jerusalem, who was also crucified again somewhere in Persia, who traveled to China and has books that he left there from his visits, and even other continents that he went to. So all we're doing is repeating Protestant versions where we broke away from, let's say, Universal Church Catholicism out of the Vatican or Istanbul. And we stop there and say, well, of that tree, this is the branch that I belong to. Just throw out the baby with the bathwater, throw out the bathwater, throw out the whole concept of taking a bath, folks. This is what I'm telling you. I've gotten to the point where I'm way up here on another level thinking, wow, you can believe in Christ, but you have to question even the crucifixion and resurrection. The cross is the center of the Zodiac wheel, folks. Pagan worship. Tammuz, Easter, rabbits and Easter eggs and resurrection and Tammuz, they all go together. It's no coincidence that we just do an Easter egg hunt and there's a rabbit involved somehow in Easter. It goes together. It's the story of Tammuz, T-A-M-M-U-Z. A lot of Satanists know that name. It's in occult worship. It's scary, folks. This is it's at least 3,600 years old. That's at least 1,600 years before the life of Jesus Christ. So when you get all vigilant and you start preaching scriptures and say, well, it says in Daniel and it says in Joshua and it says in the book of Leviticus that the Lord will take those who believe upon him and take his word to heart. I don't want to hear it. You know, like I said, even the presbyters of Constantine said the whole Old Testament was the book of Lucifer, and they did not want to include it. They were commanded to include it by the royals, which was the plan of the Canaanites to have another version of their religion that they would call Christianity to hide in. And then the New Testament is all astrotheology and the story of Tammuz, and the whole thing comes apart like an astrology wheel. Like the disciples asked Jesus, when you're gone, where do we go? And he said, go find the man carrying the pitcher of water, Aquarius, and go into his house, astrology house. They said, go to the man carrying the pitcher of water and follow him into his house. In other words, after the 2,000, 2,100 years of Pisces that we just finished on that December 21st, 2012 date, we began to go into Aquarius. And now we're in a whole new shift. We're in a frequency paradigm shift. Knowledge is poured out upon the earth in the latter days. And that's what my name's about, Alex Aquarius. This is the knowledge. and I'm doing my job. I'm supposed to share it with you. I do it out of love for everybody, and I do it because this is what I believe in. I believe in the truth, and I want to expose the truth. So if you're a diehard fanatic, vigilant Christian, a Bible-thumping Christian, I love you and praise you, and I think that's wonderful. I'm just saying, try to go a step beyond now and listen to what hopefully I'll inspire some of you people to go that far, okay? All right, so I'm Alex Aquarius. I'm out. Please hit like and subscribe. Please hit like and subscribe. Don't be a hater. I'm just telling you what my spirit, what my answers to my prayers are, and what I've found and what I believe to be true. I'm doing the best job I can. Love you all. Thank you. Goodbye.